Exodus, an amazing spell, and an even more amazing animation. Depending on how you use it, you will end up either looking like this, or like this. So which one will it be for you? Follow this video to find out. Odyssey and Exodus. These two spells are variants of each other. The basic of their functioning is as follows. Exodus, you target a square, an occupied square, and you get teleported to the square behind them. If there is an entity on the spot behind them where you're supposed to teleport, you're gonna exchange positions with that entity. It does like a telefrag, but it doesn't give you 2 AP as with Exilor. You can also Exodus through a portal. For that you need a portal next to the entity where you want to Exodus, a portal next to you, and you cast Exodus through a portal. Odyssey is a bit different. Odyssey, you have to target an enemy, and it makes them go back one spot, and you at the same time. You see, so here we're here, and when I Odyssey on this, we're both gonna go back one spot. You can also Odyssey through a portal. It's the same. I'm gonna go back one spot, and the person is gonna go through the portal to me. As for basic usage of these spells, Exodus most of the time is going to be used to just gain those 2 MP that you couldn't get otherwise. For example, let's say I couldn't be able to reach my enemy right now, I would just Exodus here and gain that extra range I need to get close to him. It could be the same, let's say I'm fleeing the enemy, and I just finish my turn with a catwalk, an Exodus over the catwalk, and I created a bit more distance with my enemy, and maybe I blocked the line of sight. Not in this case, but in another case you could do that. You can also use Exodus as a way to gain spots when you're locked at the beginning of your turn. So for example, let's say that I started my turn here, and there was a wall where I'm pinging right now. If I were to release this enemy, he would stop at this spell, and I would gain only 1 block from releasing him. But what I could also do is Exodus, and release then, and then run along the wall, and this way I created a much bigger distance between myself and the enemy. You can also Exodus into a portal that's behind an enemy. It requires a bit more setup because you have to anticipate where the enemy is gonna end, but if you are allowed to do it, well, let's say you anticipate that the enemy is going to lock you here, you leave a closed portal here, at the beginning of your turn it opens, and then you're just able to Exodus over the guy, and you unlock yourself, and you create a huge distance at the same time. The basic usages for Odyssey are a bit different. I think the most basic way of using Odyssey is to unlock yourself from almost any situation. You end up at the melee of a character, you just put a portal behind you, and Odyssey. This way, you go through the portal, unlock yourself, and create some distance at the same time. You can also use Odyssey to remove someone from your portal. So for example, my enemy ended here because he wanted to block this portal. I can just go into his melee range, Odyssey him out of a portal, and then create the redirection that works, and hit him through the portal. You can then combine both of these techniques at once. If the enemy is blocking your portal and locking you at the same time, you can just put a portal behind you, Exodus the guy, which gets him out of a portal, freeing it at the same time and creating some distance. You can then hit him through this new redirection. Another cool usage of Odyssey, which requires just a bit of setup, is actually ending your turn on a closed portal and knowing that the enemy is going to rush you to your melee. So here, this punching ball just rushed into my melee, and I had anticipated it and put a portal closed underneath me. I just need to Odyssey him, and he's gonna go right through the portal and gets outmapped this way. Okay, now time for some big brain moves. So what's really interesting about Exodus is what happens when you do it through a portal. So here you see that if I put my totem here, if I actually Exodus through the portal, I am going to exchange the place with a punching ball, as you guys remember from earlier in this tutorial. But what's really interesting is that the portals are not going to be closed. You see, the portals stay open, which means that I can outmap the guy and then use the same portal to hit him. So what I just showed you works only if the opponent is 2 spots away from the portal, because you need like this 1 spot to put down an invocation, be it a totem or a Kawad, for example. So you see it works with a Kawad as well. Okay, it's gonna work every time. I'm just gonna Exodus, and we're gonna exchange places, and the portals are gonna stay open, which allows me to use them in any way I want. Let's say that this time the enemy is not 2 spots away from a portal, but only 1 spot away from a portal. You can still do a pretty cool trick, which is Exodus through a portal. You're going to end up behind him. The portals again stay open, and then you can release him through the portal because he's just next to it. You've created the same kind of outmapping, and you even added a little bit more distance. I'm going to show you guys 2 clips where I use this in PvP videos. In this clip, I recognize the opportunity to outmap my enemy. He's in like the middle of the map, so I would like him to be a bit farther away from me. I just put an entity through the portal, and I do the Exodus trick, and he ends up all the way down there. I could have hit him, but he was invulnerable. I just take the opportunity to boost myself again, and heal myself a bit. In this second clip, I'm getting cornered by a sacker who's playing mid-map, but I see that he's next to a portal, and I have the opportunity to do the second trick I showed you. So I'm just gonna Exodus him, and then push him into the portal, because it stayed open, and then I'm able to run as far as I can. If I wasn't lagging when I was recording this, I could have put down 2 more portals and gained 3 more spots that way. Big brain moves are way harder to pull off using Odyssey instead of Exodus, because once you Odyssey someone through a portal, the portal is always going to be closed, and so there's less like flexible spot once you've done the move. And so that's why you see more Eliotropes playing Exodus than Odyssey. I'm going to show you like one trick I thought of using Odyssey. I've used it maybe once. It's like very situational, but it can be cool in some situations. So what you need for this trick is a portal close to an enemy. We'll let the Peewee run towards us for now. And then you need like a portal a bit in front of you and a portal behind you. And you need redirection to be like this, which means that this portal redirects through this one first and then here, and this one goes all the way down there. So we're gonna let the Peewee come a bit closer. And so once he is in range, all you have to do here is put 1 portal so that the Peewee is next to a portal, like this. Then you Odyssey the Peewee, which makes him go all the way down there, and this portal is still open, and you can just go through there, and you've made a complete access change with Odyssey. It's very situational, but it could help you in some situations. So this concludes my tutorial on Odyssey and Exodus. So you understand why Exodus is more interesting more of times, because it just lets you do so many more moves. There's like one situational like time when I use Odyssey. It's when I don't use Distortion, when I don't use the Eliotrope totem. So for example, against Sacriers, I really don't want them to have more pivoting points, more ways to co-op and get to me, and so I don't play the totem and I try to brain them with Stupor instead. And in that case, it can be pretty hard for me to unlock myself from a situation. And so in those situations, I usually play Odyssey and try to do some brains like finish on top of a portal to unlock myself on next turn and stuff like that. So I think that when you're playing Totem, it kind of makes sense to play. You're not playing Totem, it kind of makes sense to play Odyssey at the same time. Otherwise, most of the time I just go Exodus. There's also like one more situation where Odyssey can be interesting. It's like if you play against a Croft, for example, who plays a Reprisal Arrow, you're not going to be able to cast Exodus when you're in gravity state. And so it can be interesting, like if you're like just next to an obstacle and you just need like to move from 1 MP, you could always like Cowot next to you. You could Odyssey on the Cowot, which lets you get that one space. Don't forget to kill the Cowot at the end, otherwise he's just gonna concentrating arrow you and get you right back into range. And this wraps up my first tutorial. It was a lot of fun to make. Also a lot more work than just commenting some gameplay, but I wanted to get some points across, and I hope I did a pretty good job of it. Initially, I wasn't planning on doing some basic tutorials like how redirection works and stuff like that, and wanted to focus on more in-depth stuff like I did in this video. But if there's like a big demand to do it, I could also do that kind of video. It's just that I think that there's a lot of resources out there that explain how to do a redirection and stuff like that. So I wanted to focus on other stuff, but I could also do it if you guys are interested. I'm planning on doing more tutorials, more in-depth tutorials. I'm speaking of like how to play certain matches, like how to counter Augenax Sniff and stuff like that. What gears to play against different matches and so on. So that's one project, and then I also want to do more commented gameplay because I really enjoy doing that, and and it seems that you guys do too. So that could be pretty cool to do. I've tried playing different classes. I've played a bit of Strum, but I didn't really enjoy it, so that's probably not going to work, but I'm going to try Craw. Maybe that could be some interesting content for you guys. This channel is going to stay Eliotrope and PvP focused, but why not diversify the content just a tiny bit? I would like to do that. I could also do some maging videos and maybe some gearing tutorials. So if you guys liked the video, I would really enjoy you liking, subscribing, and leaving me a comment. I always read your comments and try to reply. And with that being said, I'll let you enjoy the end of this match.